This meeting is being recorded. All right. Welcome to Our Stories, activities to engage and empower youth and tribal communities. I'll introduce helper Julie first, and then I'll introduce myself, and then we'll move on to the slides. Julie Larson is helping me out today, my little tech guru. There'll be a couple of polls to do, and so you'll vote on those down in the chat box. And if you have any questions, raise your hand and Julie will get to them. As I'm presenting, I can't see the chat box. So either you can, we have a small group, you can unmute yourself and just respond that way, or Julie can read a comment out loud if there's a question during the time. All right, my name is Solomon Trimble. I'm a tribal education facilitator for the American Indian Resource and Resiliency Team for Extension. I had to pick a photo that would one up Julie's because she had a really nice photo. So I really had to scour my Facebook. So we're going to do our first poll of today. So why are you participating in today's webinar? For personal use, for professional use, for both professional and personal use? This isn't, I guess this webinar is for all three categories. It's just kind of nice to know a little bit ahead of time of what you're hoping to get out of it, and what how I can help you and how I can manage some of the questions that come as well. But yeah. Yeah, Julie, I can't see the poll or I don't see any pop-ups at all, just what I'm sharing. Interesting.
So Julie has launched the poll, and I believe people should be able to select one item there. So we have 5 participants. So if folks could go ahead and select, hopefully that'll work for you. If you're having trouble with that, let us know.
Some of them wrote it in the chat.
Okay, tell us what you're seeing, Julie.
Okay. Ruth is both. Nathaniel is personal. Alexa, not sure. My poll went through, but both.
Oh yeah, I just wrote, I don't know if my aunt, when I click submit, it said there was like an error or something. So I just want to make sure, but I'm here for both reasons.
Very cool.
So the poll didn't work for you?
Well, we'll have to check that out later.
It's totally fine. It's our first time, or for me, it's the first time requesting a poll, so it's totally okay. Thank you. All right. So let's get into digital storytelling training, and we'll end on more of how to aid in engagement while telling a personal story. So digital storytelling is a therapeutic tool that uses digital technology to tell stories about our lives by using personal pictures of voice recordings and allowing one to author their own script. Digital storytelling can be an emotional way of communicating themes and accounts, often touching us in deeper ways than a one-dimensional video that rarely probes beneath the surface. So yeah, but what is it? So digital storytelling is a short form of digital media production that allows people to share experiences in their stories. Digital stories often present in a compelling interactive slideshow of photos that tell a recorded voice narrative of personal resiliency. But if that's not clear enough, what is it exactly? You are going to script a script of voice recording. You're going to put it on a PowerPoint timeline, and then you're going to do video editing training so that the images that appear match or enhance or emphasize your script. And yeah, sorry. I'm going to share an example of some voice recordings that were done within the youth program. So here is an example of that. As soon as I can see my cursor, I'll play this. Let me know if you can't hear it and I'll adjust it. Here we go, play.
Since a young age, I've been a kid of many troubles. I felt like I was just born that way. I was often used as a scapegoat for problems at home or school.
Growing up, when I was in foster care, I had a lot of self-esteem issues, and I didn't think I had any worth.
I remember growing up with a lot of dysfunction in my family, but I never let what other people were doing make me unhappy.
Though I was hanging with the wrong crowd, I never touched drugs. I can never because I seen what it did to my family.
I told my family I want to be in the NBA. My family and my coaches believed in me, and I started to believe in myself too.
I moved to Portland and found support and friends in the Native community.
Everyone thought I was doing drugs, so I used that as an excuse to do them. Everyone thought I was going to fail, so I did. Until one day, like a slap to my face, I realized how stupid that philosophy was. I'd been a scapegoat for everyone's problems for so long, I became one for myself.
Being welcomed into the community so easily has helped me open up and be more comfortable in my skin. I'm comfortable with my body and the way I look because I know that nobody is judging me or cares if my clothes are new or old or hand-me-downs. They love me and care for me no matter what.
Thanks for listening, and this is my story.
Okay. So what we were listening to there was scripted voice recordings of youth programming practice, where we were specifically focused on the resiliency of self and perseverance towards a goal. So those were stories of youth talking about the barriers that they saw within their lives and how to overcome them. So here are, we'll briefly go over some images. When doing digital storytelling training with youth, you have to be very cautious working directly in tribal communities with the way that a photograph could represent that community specifically. What you want to do is make sure that the photos are specific to the person's story, and you want to respect the privacy of other individuals. So if there is a photo that somebody does want to use of maybe a low point in their life, and you could suggest that other people are blurred from it. So, but usually when you're working with youth, what you want to do is talk about the resiliency within your own life. And so we have pictures that should be health promoting, clothing appropriate, strange is good. But what we're trying to convey is a historical flow of an individual going through a trauma and coming out the other side whole. So digital storytelling timelines are best set up to tell a story from a youth perspective, from birth till now, and focus in on an individual's goals and aspirations and how you move through life and how you will incur a number of different obstacles and traumas. And the timeline helps you keep it positive without having to directly say, stay positive. So a note on timelines and working forward, stories do not end in trauma. So you are not defined by your traumatic event in the past. So there can be a number of times that an individual, if they're in addiction or suicidal or having a hard time, will continually tell a story of their life, of the trauma that they've experienced, and it becomes cyclical. This is the only story they tell. This is the only story that matters to them. But it can be the case that no one has heard this story before. And digital storytelling training can help you move out of this PTSD or substance abuse cycle and tell the story as it relates to a past event, not as it defines the individual. So digital storytelling training agenda usually goes, you have like a 3-day training, and you give it all day. The first day is writing the script. The second day is recording voice and editing. And the third is wrapping up that editing and having a showcase of everyone that's telling their stories. It's best to do this. You can do it in health class. You can do it, within prevention practice where you have prevention camps. So there'll be a week, maybe 2 weeks that a tribal community will set aside and, you know, rent out a cabin and have youth go through a number of different educational materials and physical activities, and digital storytelling training is just a part of that week's training. But yeah, giving youth ample time to write their script, to learn how to edit their own script, to you know, get into the details of editing their own work and having complete creative control over the story being told. So here's another poll. So say we have a 3-day training with youth, digital storytelling training, gaining stories from youth. So what have we accomplished? A, nothing. B, we tokenize children. C, I don't know, guy, you tell me. And D, all of the above. I expect you to answer this.
It's working.
Sweet. So when we are doing a number of different trainings and we're gaining stories and letting people tell their narrative, there are a number of different craft descriptions of what you're doing in a community when you do that. But it's just, it's tokenization. We haven't done anything for the youth per se. I think that, you know, when it comes specifically in tribal communities, a lot of stories aren't written down. People want to tell each other about their story with, you know, specific inflections in their voice. They want to tell the story in a very specific traditional way where you get to hear their perspective, and the majority of the time, writing it down without having the voice recording of it doesn't convey the same message. So I feel like digital storytelling training is something that's positive and widely accepted by the tribal communities, but we have to realize what we're doing when we're doing these trainings, that you're not specifically just taking their stories and doing what with them? To what end? You now have a collection of stories, pat yourself on the back, call it a day. This is not what the training is about. Go to the next slide.
So
If I can click.
Solomon, I just wanted to share the results from the poll. 60% said all of the above and 40% said, I don't know, guy, you tell me. What had you hoped people would respond?
No, that's all of them would be correct. But we, you know, if you just take somebody's story, you've done nothing for them per se. So without educational and resiliency foundation, digital storytelling training is hollow. You must include youth in the prevention practice. So for me, what I have used in the past that mixes with with digital storytelling training is QPR, which is question, persuade, refer training. And suicide prevention is given directly to the youth. So 90% of youth do not reach out to an adult when they're feeling suicidal. And it's also the case that 90% of youth who have a friend who is suicidal, 90% do not tell an adult about that friend. So it is a huge missed opportunity to keep, you know, to have a safe space where Native youth can come and tell stories of resiliency, of suicidal ideation, of whatever third thing, and not give them the skills to help one another. Suicide prevention is best for peer-to-peer intervention. So QPR isn't, it's considered CPR. It's, you know, like it's like a CPR, like helping somebody like when they're in a crisis and making sure that they get referred to that help. So the quick gold standard of what QPR is Q is the question, ask the question exactly, are you suicidal? P is persuade somebody to get help. The best way is promise me you won't hurt yourself until we get help. And then R is refer someone to mental health help. In person is the gold standard of taking that individual to an adult that can have help. So there is pushback that happens with giving suicide prevention training directly to youth. But I think that is born out of the myth that the more you talk about suicide, the more likely people are to commit suicide, which is untrue. The more you talk about it, the more someone is likely to reach out for help. So tribal communities usually choose, because you ask, well, how young is too young to learn about, to go through QPR or a suicide prevention training? Tribal communities usually choose their youngest on record suicide attempts and then go a year minus that. So some tribal communities, their youngest is, someone had committed suicide at the age of 13, so they give the training 12 and up. They might break out digital storytelling training in QPR for, you might do, I don't know, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, and then 13 plus, or 13 to 17. But some other tribal communities that are in crisis have had, suicides at the age of 10. So sometimes you do, I have done younger groups, so 9, 10, 11-year-olds as well. But it's all about what the community needs are. And, whether or not to do QPR, whether or not to do an educational service while you're doing digital storytelling training shouldn't be a decision you make. You have to be like, if the purpose of digital storytelling training is to shine light on an issue or to show resiliency, you need to be giving the educational practice that is known to prevent or promote health within that area of concern. So I have an example of a full story here. Before I show a full example of a digital story, when working with you, when you ask them to dive deeper, what you're going to get right away is we call it basketball and SpongeBob. So you have to guide digital story as a means of highlighting the resiliency. So if you're at a suicide prevention camp, talk about, try to guide them as stories of resiliency around suicide and suicide prevention. What keeps your mind healthy, or if it's mental health or physical health, whatever the digital story goal is around, you have to help guide it. Otherwise, you're going to get everybody talks about how basketball is their life or how SpongeBob is their spirit animal. It's not a joke. You got a lot of young kids that are like super stoked about maybe an anime, and so it's the case that you need to make sure that you have a goal in mind when you do digital storytelling training, that you have an educational piece, and that you're there listening to the youth propose different stories and focus on highlighting resiliency. So here is a video. I do not own the rights to this. This is an example from a SAMHSA grantor who had done digital storytelling training in within the last year. And I have a number of different trainings coming up in January. So I will have my own, I'll have more digital stories to show. But for now, here's a completed example.
Hi, I'm Chance Brown, and I'm from the Viejas Band of Kumeyaay Indians. Suicide is no joke. In Native American and Alaskan Native youth, suicide is the second leading cause of death, and it is 2.5 times the national average. Last summer, me and my cousin would always work out together. I always remember having a good time with him because afterwards we would go and get burritos at our favorite burrito shop. But once school came around, I wasn't able to work out with him as much. Due to my schoolwork and weight training class, I was too tired. I didn't think anything of it at the time until the morning he shot himself. I was too shocked to even react once I heard. So, I'd like to propose a suicide counseling program where Native youth have the chance to talk themselves through their problems and feel welcomed. There's a problem for Native youth, but I'm confident that if the counseling was available for them, it would lower the rates of suicide significantly. If I had to say something about myself, is I like to make and see people smile, because on the inside, I feel lonely. Thank you for your time.
Okay. So within this example, it's, I'll get to photo voice in a second, but within that example, when letting youth tell their story in the way that they want to tell it is, that's paramount. What you don't want to do is edit their script or edit what they're going to say, or try to take it piecemeal to say something that you personally want. You are there to provide the technical training, the technical assistance, and let youth focus in on the issue at hand. So within this example, this individual Chance personally knew the need to have mental health counseling available to you. And it's the case that like that critique, that as you're an outside organization, maybe working within a tribal community, it can sound different from your perspective of, well, here are a number of different things that could help youth and youth programs, but you could be coming with an outside perspective of maybe not the knowledge, like maybe you don't have the knowledge of everything that's been provided, or it has been provided before and was unutilized. So it's the case that when you're doing digital storytelling training and you let youth tell the story, and as of this example with Chance said that he saw this need and wished that it was there, it's more powerful and impactful to create change within the community when the community members and youth are coming up with those ideas. So yeah, so be very cautious with getting overzealous or trying to have you tell a story in a certain way. Just let them tell their story in the way that they want to tell it. Okay, so I'm going to talk quickly about photo voice, and then we're going to do an activity. So photo voice and digital storytelling training use sort of the same framework. So photo voice is a short form single photo with text. So you take photos in their community that mirror the resiliency factor that you're focusing on, mental health, suicide prevention, physical health. So in a group, the youth come together, they propose 1 to 3 sentences that will be put on that photo. And then you print these photos out, you have an art show with event with the community, and have an artist panel Q&A. Sometimes after doing photo voice, these posters are motivational posters that are used in healthcare clinics or around youth programming, or at tribal gas stations. So photo voice is very similar to digital storytelling training. You're just using one photo. So if anyone's confused, it's just like, just tell youth you're going to make memes and they'll understand. So the meme on the left was made for me by a youth. It says, "What if I can't paint with all the colors of the wind?" This is a quote from the movie Pocahontas. It is hilarious. I highly encourage that people get goofy with it. On the right is one that I made that staying connected is my resiliency. Staying connected to culture, to indigenous culture in general, is my saving grace. Okay. Are you bored? Imagine being a kid on Zoom. Would you like to play again? So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to ask individuals to play this game with me. This is a fun rock, paper, scissors game. It requires more physical movement than rock, paper, scissors, but I think since we're sitting down, we're going to try this. I'm going to move into talking or showing a video and then talking about traditional Native games and physical activities paired with prevention practice. So we're going to start that off by playing this game called Bear Hunter Princess. So I will model it first. So we're playing rock, paper, scissors. So what I'll do is I will mute my video, and then when I come back, I will be a bear, or I will be a princess, or I'll be be a hunter. So this is pulling your fletching. So it is bear, princess, hunter. Now, the bear obviously beats the princess. The princess serenades the hunter with a song. And then what is the last? Oh, I know combinatorics. The hunter beats the bear. So I need 2 volunteers to try this. We're going to pin your screens up. You're going to mute your screen and then reappear. And we're going to play 3 rounds of rock, paper, scissors in this way, which is bear, princess, hunter. Not everybody all at once. Oh, Carolyn's on. She's ready.
Hi. So you want me to take or turn my screen off and then turn it on?
Oh, see, we're side by side. Yeah. So you're going to mute yourself. You're going to decide, are you bear, princess, or hunter? Again, that's like pulling the fletching of an arrow.
Sounds good.
Yeah, can we get another volunteer? Come on, Donald. I can't say Miss Liam's name, otherwise everything's gonna mess up over here. Oh, I got Donald. I think I got him. You want to do this? Sweet. All right. So you guys are gonna mute your screens and try this with me. Again, it's bear, princess, like your little princess wave, or hunter. Put your fist on your face. Yeah. So go ahead. I'll say 1, 2, 3, and then you'll unmute yourself. Don't change it mid. All right. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. 2 bears. All right. Go back. Remute yourself. All right. 1, 2, 3. Donald. Look at you guys. Yeah, you got to put it on your cheek when you have the blur. Otherwise, it goes out. All right, let's try it again. We're tying up. All right, 1, 2, 3. Man, you guys are good with this. We got to get somebody to win. I've got incentive for you. All right, one more time. If it ties up, I'll just send you both something. All right, 1, 2, 3. Oh, the princess gets the hunter. Nice. All right. Thanks for playing. It was interesting for us to try this, the pin. All right. Julie, I'm going to share my screen. And thank you. Let's go back. Let's go share. I think this is how I did that before. I got to get rid of boxes here. All right. A note, I'm going to share a video on traditional Native games, where it's from, and talk a little bit about it. So the International Traditional Native Game Society is a curriculum through the University of Montana. We're about to watch a video that they had created. For international traditional Native games, we must honor those children who risked or lost their lives keeping these games, these playful games alive. So a number of games were lost to time. During the occupation of America, a lot of Native youth were forced into boarding schools, Catholic boarding schools, Christian boarding schools, or just in general government boarding schools. They were forced to stop speaking their language, practicing any cultural, nothing cultural. They weren't allowed to, express themselves spiritually or culturally in any way with their Native identity. With that, a number of different youth kept playing some of these games, and they would get in trouble. And while they would get in trouble for playing these games, it would get written down on a permanent record of the games they were playing, the tribes that they were from, like the materials it would take to play these games. So some of these games were literally resurrected from bad kids refusing to stop playing their indigenous games. And as a heavy lift, the University of Montana had reached out to a number of different elders and a number of different archivists to find mentions of Native games to be played. I can send a link of this video. It's like 30 minutes long. But what I want to focus in on is the description of one of the games. In this first piece, it's my favorite game. It's called Run and Scream. And when we're doing digital storytelling training and we're going over having individuals use their own voice. And it might be for the first time that they're telling a personal story, and it might feel awkward to use your own voice in front of other people or have it broadcast in a digital story to everyone. I incorporate traditional native games not just as icebreakers or not just for the physical activity, so we're just not sitting, but it's spiritual as well. It's to help be more connected. So I'll let the video speak for itself and then speak a little bit more on.
The reasoning behind Run and Scream is building up your vocal cords, building up your inner stamina. You know, for the kids to be running and screaming at the same time is sort of like almost getting them ready for song. Really, you're only supposed to take one breath. You know, you run as far as you can, screaming at the top of your lungs, and once you're out of breath and you're done screaming, and you stop right there, and then that's where you mark your spot. So, and then the next person in line tries to do this, does the same thing. You know, one breath, screams as loud as they could, and then once they're out of their breath, they stop. And it's just a basic, you know, contest to see who goes the furthest and scream the loudest, I guess you could say. You know, if you just want to do the game quickly, you know, you could find a branch or break off some branches, you know, whatever's available for you that day or in that area or circumstances, I guess you could say, you know. One of the concepts for that game is just to let your inner negativity and your stress and everything that's balled up inside you, just let it go. It's a stress reliever. You know, you could yell at the top of your lungs and nobody's going to tell you, you know, hey, be quiet. Maybe the kid is frustrated about maybe their friends or something like that. You know, they run along and screaming, and it makes.
So it's cut short there. It gets into a number of different other games after this. But I like using Run and Scream for just the sole purpose that a number of different youth will say that they feel that their voice is dumb or stupid, or they don't want to feel like they're perceived as dumb or stupid, or that they sound weird or some other third thing. But when all of the youth together are running and screaming, and they, you know, you'll give a scarf or a nice hat or a basketball as incentives, and they're running and now they're in competition, they're getting used to their voice being heard in a very silly manner, it feels like. And it really helps in a therapeutic way to get youth to start literally talking. And so this is probably one of my favorite games. Excuse me. This is the end of my presentation. I have a link to the International Game Society if you're interested in becoming a trainer, being trained in it, or bringing it to your tribal community. I am working with a number of different tribal elders here in Minnesota to make sure that Ojibwe games are represented. Lacrosse, snake. The traditional native games are between, you know, they could be hand games, like small dice game or hand games, but the difficulty goes all the way up to archery and horse equine therapy. So it can be very involved based upon what your youth program can offer to youth. And then I have another video for an overview of every game that's played. We just watched a snippet of that. And then, of course, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. You can always reach out to me specifically for QPR training, or reach out to the QPR Institute for training yourselves. But the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, they have, not only can you call, but if you go to the website, there's a number that you can also text. So some youth have been utilizing that. If you need a certificate of participation, complete the webinar evaluation using the link. on the next slide to request a certificate. And then to help us improve our programming, complete a short evaluation. As you leave, it should reroute you to do this like right away. So when you get there, it's going to ask which webinar you took. So you're selecting the last webinar in the eval drop-down menu, choose our stories, and then watch for a follow-up email in a few months to share how you've used the information or resources in this presentation. You will also, there'll also be a follow-up email where you'll get the PDF of this presentation. It will, you won't be able to watch the videos there, but you can follow the links that I provided to watch those videos. The next webinar is In This Together, Supporting the Needs of Families and Communities. So December 10th, just a heads up, there's a parent's perspective on COVID impact on college students. December 13th is Diets Debunked. And December 15th is Sacred Spirit Promoting Youth Mental Health, which is a presentation that I'm giving as well. I believe, yeah. And then engage with us at Extension at all of these. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and allow for people to ask questions. Oh, I see it now.
Could you share those links in the last slide in the chat?
I can.
Thank you.
We will definitely include those in a follow-up email as well.
Awesome, thanks.
Ooh, so the suicide prevention hotline is a hot link. It's not like the whole link spread out. So I'll share these two of the international. You mean for International Native Games and the video on Native Games? I presume that was the slide you were asking for. Or did you mean extensions? The very last slide. I can do both. No problem.
Yeah, both sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah. Here we go. Any questions, concerns that anyone has? I'll throw this in. I was afraid I would go too long. I feel like I blasted through some of it because I was afraid when we were watching the videos that it would take up too much time, but yeah, it was good. If anyone has any interest in doing digital storytelling training or needs help rolling it out or finding how to be trained as a trainer, you can contact me and I can help you out with that. Here are the engagement links for Extension. All right. If there are no questions, I'd just like to thank Sarah and Julie for helping me with the technical aspect of this. I actually do like the polls and will be using them in the future. So that was nice. I like it.
I did put the link to the survey in the chat.
And to the two individuals who helped me play the game, make sure you email me. I have a little incentive gift for helping out.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. If you have any final questions, you can definitely unmute. We will be sending a follow-up email with a PDF of the PowerPoint and the links that Solomon has shared. In about a month or so, we will also be sending another follow-up email with links to the recording as well as recordings of other webinars in this series. So thank you for joining us today and have a great week.
Can you see the chat, Solomon?
I can, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, thank you for your time. Fun game. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, everybody. This is great. Do the evaluation.
All right, it's just the three of us. So yeah, went pretty good. It was, I suppose because you cut out the activity with the breakout rooms, we got done just a little bit early, but that's fine.
Yeah, and it was, yeah, I'm kind of glad I did though. With the small group that we had, it would have seemed, really, it was just about the amount of time it would take. And so it was fine. I think if I had a number of different individuals who, like, say I was doing digital storytelling training for staff, I would make them do it. You know, I'm like, here, we're going to try this first. But yeah.
Yeah. Julie, did you stop the recording?
Not yet.
No.
Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay.